Hey guys, TRJ, The Running Journey, episode 146, about to get going here. I always hear from listeners about their favorite episodes, and I think the one that I hear the most often is race recaps. They love race recaps. This is a race recap episode. Me and Phil and some buddies, Marty specifically, just got back from New York. New York, the city of angels. No, the city of love. No, what is it? The Big Apple. We just got back from the Big Apple and we had a blast. So this episode is part Phil's chase for sub 3, whether or not he can do it, whether or not he did it on a very difficult day. Great recap. There's my recap of my 10K, which was one of the most fun races I've had in my life. I must tell you, it ends. Well, I'll let you listen to it to see how it ends. There's a brief recap about Marty and his half. There's a summary of our weekend and all the stuff we did. And there's also some discussion about Charlie and his upcoming race. This is a fun episode and will be a memory forever for Phil. It's a moment in time that is frozen and now captured because of us, because of this great podcast. And we thank you for listening. The Running Journey, episode 146, our interview with Phil Marcoux as he chases the elusive sub-3 hour marathon. Enjoy, guys. It's a great one. We are back better than ever, again with the same guests as last week. I'm Rob Tatro. Welcome to The Running Journey. With me, I have my brother and longtime co-host of the Running Journey podcast, Charlie Tatro. Charlie, good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for introducing me as your co-host this week.
What did I not introduce you as? Don't I normally introduce you?
Yes. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. I sense some resentment there.
No resentment.
Okay.
Just making a joke. It's all good.
Okay, right on. We also have another special guest this week. You met him last week, and I just got back from New York with this guy today. It was like 1 a.m. when I got back. I don't know what time he got back, but Phil Marcoux. Phil, great to have you here again.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Part 2 of the 2-part series titled Phil Chases a Dream, or is it titled Marathons Are Hard? I don't know. But first question for you, Phil, before we get into the details. Today's episode, we're going to recap the race. We're going to talk a bit about Charlie's training. I want to recap my race a little bit because it was so fun. And then we'll talk a bit about New York. But Phil, first off, how do you feel?
I'm about as tired as I've ever been right now. I think my sleep score last night was 34. As soon as I laid down, I started cramping up and seizing and jimmy legs and the whole thing. So it's been a bit of a battle of a day, but I guess that's normal, right? The day after a marathon.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever traveled the day of a marathon. I don't remember traveling the day of a marathon. So this was a different travel schedule than I usually do for my races. So I'm also wiped out, and I only did a 10K. So I can understand and appreciate how wiped out. Usually you recover for the first day, you go back to the hotel if you're traveling to Chicago or Boston or whatever, and you travel the next day. But we had a crazy travel day yesterday. It was still like New York, first of all, takes forever to move around, and you have to go to Calgary and then you have to go back to Winnipeg. So you must have got home late yourself.
Well, I landed in Calgary. I was supposed to land originally at 9 and get a good night's sleep before flying back to Winnipeg, but I didn't. My flight was delayed, so I didn't get to my hotel until midnight, and then laid in bed for 6 hours and then went back to the airport to come home. So,
so you got back just really recently?
Yeah, I got home a couple hours ago.
Wow.
Yeah. But
thank you.
So it's fresh. It's going to be fresh. Yeah. Thank you.
But to answer your question, physically, I'm depleted. I'm wiped, but like emotionally, mentally, I feel great. So I'll get a good night's sleep tonight and hopefully be back to normal tomorrow. Probably still have trouble with the stairs, but that's fine. That'll go away in a couple of days.
That means you left it out there. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Do you want to give... Okay, and how are you feeling emotionally, mentally?
Good. I mean, I don't know if we just rip the Band-Aid off right out of the gate or if we leave some suspense, but
well, why don't you just like walk us through the race a little bit, or no, Rob? What do you think?
Yeah, maybe
give us a slow build of the race, and so we don't ruin it for the listeners right away.
Yeah. I won't
Well,
tell you your time, but why don't we talk a bit about race day to start and
yeah,
how it went, and we'll talk about New York and my race after.
Travel. Yeah, exactly.
sure. Um, yeah, so I mean, I got to bed um a little bit later than I was hoping, maybe 30, 40 minutes later than I was hoping, but still plenty of time. The nerves definitely hit me Sunday night. Even just like at dinner, I was
I
starting
was
to,
nervous. I was just nervous for you. All of a sudden on Sunday, I was like, "Holy shit, his A race is tomorrow."
yeah, I was like, I was trying to keep, up with the conversation with the guys and stuff like that, but it's just my mind was not there. I was starting to get nervous thinking about the next day. So it took me a little bit to fall asleep, but still had what I thought would be good amount of sleep. Um, Felt a bit tired morning of, but nothing crazy. Um, we got to we obviously had a bit of a long drive to get to the race, but we got there plenty of time, 30 minutes ahead of time or whatever it was.
What time did you guys have to wake up to get to that race?
I got up at 7.
Yeah,
Oh
7.
wow.
It was a late start. It was a
It
10
was a
a.m.
10 a.m.
start.
start. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We
So
got,
I think I fell asleep around midnight, slept till 7. So really no excuses on like the sleep front. Got enough sleep for, the day before. Um, had breakfast, packed our stuff, took a cab out to Rockaway Beach, and yeah, definitely got there, and right away it was like the wind hit you in the face,
oh my God.
and we knew we were kind of in for one. Um,
What would you
but
say the wind chill would have been like? I know the phone says something, but like that was a cold Winnipeg day, it felt like.
yeah, it felt. I mean, I think the temperature was about 5 degrees. It felt definitely a couple degrees below zero,
Yeah, it's a minus
but it was
five,
a
minus
north wind. Like
10.
it felt like a Manitoba north wind, just biting the skin. Um, as you were walking or
Yeah, I've
running or
always
just
said the
standing
wind's
there.
worse.
So
The wind's worse than the temperature.
At
yeah,
first,
I take a wind chill, like if you have two wind chill temperatures, one -5 with wind versus -5 no wind, I'll take the -5 no wind.
straight chill
100%.
to your bone, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
When
for
we
running, for running specifically, yeah,
yeah,
Bill, when
because
we got out of
you
that
feel it.
cab, we're dressed. We were in New York. It was chilly for New York, but it was thin jackets
yeah,
everywhere we went, and we got out there and like walked up to the we're kind of walked up to the boardwalk where we'd be running, which
yeah,
is kind of on top of the beach, so you're a little elevated. And remember when we ran that marathon in LA, Charlie, that half marathon, and we were kind of elevated, and
Yeah, yeah.
the day with
Oh yeah,
windbreaker.
yeah. As soon as you get over the
As
dike, it
soon as you
was
get over the dike, it was hitting you harder because you're elevated. It was kind of that feeling. You're a little bit higher, and it was like just crushing you from the side. This wind. It was heavy. It was heavy and
yeah.
cold.
I had my winter coat on, and Marty and I went to the bathroom, and I as a joke I said I think I might run this thing with my coat because it was that windy. So as soon as we got out of that cabin, I felt the wind. I was like, okay, this is. I had been obsessively checking the forecast for a couple weeks leading up to this race, and I had seen the strong winds that they had been having, and I had hoped that it would die down, but I kind of in my head I knew that this was a good possibility that we'd be fighting some wind on the Monday. So I had weeks ago told myself like if it's that windy, I'm gonna adjust my plan. I'm gonna try to you know put in a good time, but base it on my effort as opposed to trying to crack 3 hours. And as Marty and I we went to the bathroom, we walked back or jogged back. I was thinking about it. We went up to the start line, and I just like this is my first time attempting this, and it certainly doesn't need to be my last time. Um, but like, what do I have to lose here? And I've been working 3.5 months for this day, so I might as well try and kind of like flipped my strategy at the start line.
Just to be clear, you're talking about the idea on the one hand of, you know what, it's a tough win. Maybe I should just ease into a 305 or 310 or something, or
Yeah,
versus start at race pace
yeah,
and just see what, like I did that in Boston, I think, and I couldn't do it. I fell off. And I remember thinking, well, I'm only here once, so might as well go for it, right?
Yeah,
That,
I
that
did it.
that's
I did
exactly
it this year in Boston and had a big positive. But yeah,
that's exactly what I decided was just like I'm in New York for the first time. I'm here for this reason, and just had a great weekend with the guys. Like I don't want to leave without having tried. Even if I fail, at least I will have tried, and I'll probably take something away from it. Um, so that was my decision. Is I'm gonna go for it, and I'll see what happens. Um, and couple minor things went wrong. Um, I put my heart rate monitor on a couple minutes before the race, and I don't know if it's because of the cold or I wasn't sweating yet or what, but the first 7 minutes of the race, it wasn't reading properly. It was reading like way too low. And I also went out, I went out a little bit too fast. I corrected it quick, but my first 100 meters or 200 meters were definitely too fast.
Classic.
So my first K came in at like 409 or 410 or something like that, which was about 5 seconds too fast. But I had no idea how my heart rate said 140, and I was like, this is definitely not 140. And so I spent the first 7 or 10 minutes kind of wrestling with my heart rate monitor to get it going. And then when it finally did, my heart rate was already 175. I was like, okay, I guess this is what we're dealing with today.
Yeah, you were at 175 on kilometer 3.
Yeah, and of course we
one
started
thing
into
about
the
like
wind.
with when it's cold, to me those things are very glitchy. I don't know, but yeah. So obviously you had the low at the beginning. Like for me, what happens is it goes when it's cold, it starts off really low, and then it spikes to like 180, depending 200, 210, and then it stabilizes. But so I don't know.
Well,
Could be something like that. But did it ever stabilize after the
and
175?
it just stayed there. Like it just
Okay.
stayed. I just
Okay.
stayed
So then
170,
it
175.
was probably accurate then. You just
Yeah,
went red line the whole way.
yeah.
Good
And
job.
our first 2.5K were straight into the wind. Um,
That's the
and it
other
was
part. Like, did you adjust your pace when you
no,
were into
no,
versus into? Okay,
no,
into
because
versus with.
I just figured like I'm gonna try. I want to try this and see what happens. So I'm gonna try to put in that effort. And that was my theory, was that this would be about a 10 to 12 beats per minute wind, which it obviously was going into the wind right out of the gate. But then when we turned around to go back, it never really came down, and I just stayed 170 plus the whole time.
Hey, Phil,
So
I gotta touch base on this here. I gotta chime in. When I started running the same way, I was like, oh my God, we're into the wind. This is crazy. This is tough. But when I turned the corner, I was like, oh my God, we're into the wind. This
I
is
know.
tough. We weren't
It's
actually into the wind. It was straight sideways. Right? Do you agree, Phil?
But it had just enough of like a curve to it that you would never really get any sort of break. Like it felt like we were always into the wind.
Yeah, it was
And
straight sideways. It was very sharp and straight sideways.
it had no big hills or anything, but it had just kind of constant minor undulation on that boardwalk, where the only time that I felt like we got away from the wind, we were also going slightly uphill. And that was probably just in my head, but it felt like there was never a break. Like the entire run, we never had a single break, either from the wind or from the slope. Um, so yeah, it was tough. Like for something that I was hoping would be kind of a nice flat course, with that wind, it was just
I don't think the
3 plus
elevation was
hours of,
tough. The elevation was not tough. It was just the wind.
well, and that was just in my head, right? It
For
was just
sure.
like
Yeah.
wanting the break, but then you see the slight uphill, and now it's like, okay, now I don't have a break. And
Yeah.
so um
Maybe
yeah,
describe the course real quick, like what the race, how many
well
loops and all.
okay, so it was a four loop course. We started in the middle, so 2.5K out, and then you do a turn, basically five and a bit the other way, and then 2.5K back to the finish line, and do that lap 4 times for the full, or twice for the half. When you for the 10K, it was basically the front half twice, right?
Yeah, I did the 5K twice.
Right. So when I made the first turn, I think there was only 3 or 4 guys ahead of me, or 2 or 3 guys ahead of me. It doesn't really matter, but I was hoping in my mind that like, okay, now I'm going to get away from the wind and things will stabilize, but they didn't. So I at that point I just accepted the fact that I would be running with my heart rate over 170, and I started thinking like, do I adjust right now and slow down to try to calm my heart rate and pick a new target, and to go back to the point out of the gate, I just said, let's just see how long I can hold this. Like I know I won't be able to hold this for 3 hours, but let's like I've never tried to
So
run as long as I can with my heart rate in the 170. So let's kind of see what happens.
Super fun game.
so Phil, I'm looking at your splits and you finished the first half under 129. So was there ever a thought of at least just slowing down to 130 pace or 3? So because that, like, I know those seconds, like, they don't feel like much, but those would have been like 2 or 3 seconds per mile that you could have gone slower.
Well,
Or
I
actually
felt
4
like,
seconds per mile you could have gone slower. Did you know you were ahead, or you just wanted to make sure you were ahead? Because I know I get into that mode, like you never want to fall behind. But
yeah, my goal was to run 4-minute 15-second kilometers,
got
and
it.
with the wind it was kind of like slowing me down to 420.
Okay.
So to answer your question, my thought was keep pushing for 415s, knowing that I'm going to end up with 420s, if that makes sense, and
Okay.
then see how long I could hold that. And you can see it throughout. There's a couple kilometers here and there where I actually do hit 415, but most of them end up being in that 420 range.
So Charlie's
Um,
probably talking about the splits on the course app.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So I guess, did you know you were ahead of pace, or were you or did you know you were like, how far ahead of pace? How aware were you that you were relative to your actual one, like let's say 3 hour pace?
So I'll play the plus minus game as I go. So if if my goal is a 415 and I run a 418, that's a +3, and then if it's a
Yeah.
412, that's a -3. So I was doing that for the first lap. And I finished the first lap in like 44:30, I think,
44:20.
roughly.
So at
25.
that point, you knew you were 40 seconds ahead, right?
Yes, but I also noticed that it wasn't the full distance. So
Like
the
on your
course ended up being
watch, there was
short a little bit.
discrepancy.
Yeah, yeah. On my watch, the course was short.
So that could have been high rises and whatever, or could have been just distance or whatever. But on your watch, it was showing you that you were slow, but on the clock, it was showing you were slightly fast.
Yeah.
Which is a rare thing. Usually it's the opposite.
Extremely
Usually it's the
rare.
opposite. Yeah. So the first lap, I still felt good. Like this was hard, but I felt good. And the second lap went well too. I ended up passing the last guy, the lone guy that was ahead of me. I think at about kilometer 16 or so.
Yeah, I love this website actually with the results. It shows shows exactly when you passed them. Passed them after the half sometime.
Yeah, yeah. So now I knew I was ahead, and we each time we would see each other on the cross, we'd say a few things to each other, and he was I think that was Tom. He was pretty vocal about the wind. But now I knew I was gaining on him, and Dave was then behind Tom.
Sorry, so can I pause you for a second? So you
Yeah.
call them Tom and Dave. Like, did you get to know these guys on the run, or because you guys had very close, kind of similar-ish times?
So the first turnaround, I pass by Dave, who finished third, and he kind of cheered me on. He goes, "Yeah, podcast Phil, let's go." I was like, "Okay." I don't know where that comes from. But then at the end of the race, the three of us were chatting, and he had Googled the names of everybody else who was running the full. And so he saw your podcast from last week, our podcast from last week, the night before, or something like
you
that.
listened to the episode the night
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. So you had a new viewer Sunday night who had seen that episode. So we chatted for a while, and
Okay, well, shout
Rob
out to
jumped in and-
Dave as the
Shout
new.
out to Dave Mendelson if you're looking right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I got through the half pretty much right on pace, like 129 and a bit.
I saw you there. Is that the first? We chatted there for a bit, right?
Yeah. And at that point, I felt very similar to when I finished the WFPS half. Like I knew at that point I was in trouble. But it was basically just, let's see how long I can hang on. And I knew I wouldn't be able to hang on for another full half, but I wanted to push myself and see what would happen. So kept going.
So I'll just pause you. So at the 3/4 point, so you held on for a long time, because at the 3/4 point,
Just behind at the 3/4.
you're just behind at the 3/4 point.
At kilometer 28 specifically is when I didn't throw in the towel, but just accepted that I didn't have another hour in me. So I hit kilometer 28, like right at 2 hours. And at that point, I knew I didn't have another hour left.
And you saw Marty at some point around, right? Around there. No, sorry. I'm confused. There's a loop before. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think that's the first time
You were still 30 seconds ahead. Still 30 seconds ahead just before 2 hours.
Yeah.
Anyways,
when
that's
you
good
finished,
job.
when you finished your third loop, you were about 30 seconds behind.
Yeah. And, that's because at kilometer 28 is when I had to stop for the first time. And I think I walked for like 20 seconds just to kind of get my composure back. And then from then on, that's when the battle began for me. From basically from the 2 hour mark on, every time I would I ended up stopping for 8 walk breaks. 2 of them were really close together. 15 to 20 seconds. I think there was one of 30 seconds. And then I would start and I would, get to 420, 425 and just slowly kind of slow down as I kept going. And then when I got to 450,
so quick question. When you were doing those walk breaks, how long were you, the first few, like how long were you running in between?
I'll see if
because it looks like, I mean, that's like, I mean, yeah. So if that's, I'll be curious to also understand what were kind of the thoughts going, because I think that means you battled really hard for the last 8 miles, and be interested to how you dealt with that mentally.
Yeah. So like my first my first walk break was at the 201 mark. And then I ran until 210. Short walk break. And then I ran for 20 or 15 minutes to 225.
And that to me is really impressive, because I feel like for me anyways, once you start walking, like running feels like it's so hard.
I was trying to get a good 10, 15 minutes between walks. My last 25 minutes, they were a little bit closer together. 25, 30 minutes, they were a little bit closer together. But that's what I was finding, was just I would take back off running, and I would only be able to hold the pace for a short amount of time, and then would just consistently slow down. And then when I would get to the point where I was like, okay, this is too slow, let's just walk for 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and then start again. So I think I saw Rob at the halfway mark, and that's when I told you at that point, like, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, you told me I'm done. It's not happening.
It's not going to happen.
I was like, dude, you're still 40 seconds. I was like, no. Let's go. You got this.
Yeah.
I could
And
tell
then-
though that I could tell you weren't in a good spot.
Yeah, and then after the half lap, I think he gave me some water. I don't think I said anything, and then at the end of the third lap, that's when I think I said to you, like, new goal is to win, because at this point I'd been in the lead for an hour, and despite the fact that I was slowing down, my lead was growing because I would just kind of time, once I did the turn, I would time how long until I would meet the guy in second, Tom, and that lead was growing. So
He was
to
hurting.
me, it became like,
Do you think that maybe helped you finish? Like, I mean,
for
helped
sure,
battle
100%.
because it was like a second motivator. That's
Yeah.
a lot of times you most races you won't have that second motivator. So
Well, that's exactly it. It was like, how, never mind finishing in under 3 hours. How often does anybody get the chance to win a marathon?
It's never
zero
happened.
times.
It's never
So-
happened still.
I was like, okay, well, if I'm not going to get my A goal, this is a pretty cool second goal to finish up with. So that's where my mentality changed, and I just started kind of tracking my lead as every time we would turn. And the lead kept growing despite the fact that I was slowing down, and I knew those guys were struggling with the wind too. So that's really kind of what that last hour and a bit became for me, was just keep the lead and keep pushing. And I don't really know. Well, I think it's a combination of everything. Like, obviously my heart rate got out of hand or out of control way too early. Then the last 40 minutes, my legs were just killing me. So it was, all of the above, just didn't want to cooperate. But yeah, I ended up crossing the line in 3:08 and change. And, raising a banner over my head, which might be the last time that ever happens. So I'll cherish that forever. It was
The
really
tape,
cool.
like you crossed the tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then so Phil, and how much of a PR was it as well?
Just a little over 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I
3:29
mean,
and change at Manitoba Marathon this summer, and then 3:08 and a bit was my time for this race. So
yeah,
like,
so
I've no complaints. I got to see that I can run for 2 hours, 28 kilometers at a heart rate that I didn't think was sustainable for me. I pushed myself through the last hour. And I think, I mean, I'm going to keep, percolating on this and seeing what other lessons I can take away. But I knew I was, I think I said last week, like, you asked me if I think I had this, and I think I said, if it's favorable to decent conditions, I think I have a chance. If it's tough, I don't think I do. And it was a tough day. And sure enough, I never really had a chance, but I wanted to at least give myself the chance and see what kind of lessons I can take away from it. So I feel like with more time and more practice, it's something that I know I'll be able to achieve it at some point, because I can clearly run at that pace. I can run that pace for a long time, just not 3 hours yet. So yeah, I have no negative sentiments about the race whatsoever, because getting to win a race was a pretty cool feeling.
I honestly think that if you wouldn't have had a watch, to get back to Charlie's earlier point, and you wouldn't have been focused on the mileage that your watch was telling you, right? Because the mileage was probably off on the watch, or short course or whatever, you could have, like, you could have run slower a bit earlier and maybe come out, like, instead of doing a 129 first half, had you done a 130 or 131 first half, it would have been night and day, I think, right, Charlie? Probably. And maybe,
I mean, I think he could have gone slightly faster that way, but not 8 minutes. Probably.
no, I don't think 3
Yeah.
hours was there, but it would have been less of a blow up and less more
Yeah.
enjoyable probably
But-
at the end, because you were in the pain cave hard there when I
For
saw
sure.
you.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, if I would have set out at 3:05 to 3:08 pace, I think that I would have been able to run that pace without the blow up.
Yeah.
Those extra 8 minutes at the end kind of came from blowing up in the last hour.
Yeah. In the last 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But having said that, like, okay, most people I would kill for a 21-minute PR. So
Those
I
don't
think
happen.
it's last week you said like you'd be upset if you only had a 15-minute PR.
Yeah.
But I think 21-minute is something to be really proud about. I do have one question about like the walk break still. I'm trying to, for me, the whole concept of walking for only 15 seconds and then starting to run seems like I would never even think of doing that. So I'm really curious about it. Like, how were you able, like, what did the 15 seconds of
Okay.
walking kind of like, how was that like processing that it was helping you? Because I
So
imagine it was.
the physical wall that I was hitting was I was starting to like throw up in my mouth a little bit. So I was running into stomach issues, gut issues. And it just, I was burping. I was starting to throw up in my mouth a little bit. And it's because my heart rate was getting too high. I was getting hard. So those 15, 20 seconds was just to kind of mentally, center myself and also give my stomach just 10, 15 seconds to like calm down and then start again.
So
I
were you
felt
really ill? Like your stomach was like really hurting?
my stomach just wasn't happy. Like
Okay.
my body wasn't happy with whatever was going on, right? Like
That means you were
my
running
body was
really
telling me to
hard.
stop. Yeah.
You were running really hard.
And plus, Phil, you had your plan for 9 gels, and when did you stop taking your gels?
I stopped after
An
7.
hour. Yeah, an hour left,
Yeah.
you just stopped, and, like,
Yeah.
I've seen that happen a lot. It's you can't keep it down, you stop taking the gels, it's like a snowball effect
Yeah.
because now you're
It's
hurting,
hard taking gels at 170 for me is really hard.
Yeah.
but
I
now
switched
you're running on empty on top of that, right?
I
Yeah.
switched to Gatorade just to try to get some, some carbs in instead of water, but yeah, at that point it was I knew if I was going to try to take another gel, it was going to come right back up. So, um, yeah, that's I don't know if that answers your question, but that was
No,
kind of
that's
the goal of
perfect.
my
That's
walk was
exactly that
just to calm
totally
things
makes
down.
sense. Yeah. It puts me more. I kind of realize I can feel the agony that you went through a little bit better the way you explained that because I didn't realize your stomach was that bad. Um,
I was standing
I
in the middle. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah. So go ahead, Rob. I have one more comment
Go
after,
ahead.
but so I always say like I used to say like it takes 5 marathons to become a half decent marathon runner, and it takes 10. It takes a lot of marathons to kind of master the distance. I feel, and maybe some people can do it faster than that or whatever. But so this is your second, I believe, or third.
Third,
Third. Yeah. So do you feel like this was an experience, like you mentioned, learning about your ability to run with that high heart rate? Do you think this was an experience that you learned from? And when did you learn
100%.
it the most?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely I I learned to so when my first marathon was a year and a half ago, and um that one I collapsed with 6K to go. Um and at that point I felt like stopping to walk was like you just automatic F grade, you know? Like essentially quitting. Whereas this, now this time I while I wish I didn't have to and I wish I could have ran for the full duration, the walking was my tool to make sure that I could still finish and um power through what I was struggling with, right? Which was the physical struggle that I was going through. So like learning to kind of be kinder to yourself while you're running and not be so hard-headed is something
Yeah.
that I learned from this for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good one.
but also, yeah, I never pushed myself for that much time when I felt uncomfortable. Like I don't know from any other race that I've done or any training session that I've done, I've never felt that physically uncomfortable for that amount of time. Um, so just those first 28K of like maintaining that pace, even though I knew it meant trouble. I think my body is going to learn a lot from that, and myself mentally, I learned a lot from that. So um, there's a ton of takeaways that I'm taking from this race. The
Pick an easier course.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing that I found strange was I never got into rhythm on this race, and I don't know if that was because of the wind, but like I never got to my goal cadence at any point, and I was finding myself kind of struggling with my stride a little bit. So I don't know if that's because I didn't handle my taper properly. That's something that I definitely want to review because I didn't get much in terms of recovery on Garmin, and I don't know how accurate that is, but it was a lot more of just like maintaining throughout my taper, and then yeah, to get to race day and to not kind of get myself into the 180 182 cadence, which is typically what I'm at when I'm running at that pace, um, was something strange. So
That's
I'm
interesting.
allocating
What
it
was your
a little bit
cadence?
to nerves.
What was your cadence compared to your regular?
I was like 175 to 177 for the most part.
Wonder if the wind factor. I don't know. That's weird. Never heard of that before.
I think there's also another thing here, Phil, and I'm partly to blame for this, is you didn't get much recovery and rest in New York. Like we did a lot of things that we
When you
maybe
go to marathons with Rob,
Yeah,
like
but
it
that's
was
how it goes.
nonstop. It was just nonstop. Every day we're doing a million things, and like I in a way I felt a little bad. I do feel bad for you because like it was hard for you to focus on your race when we were doing musicals and piano bars and stand-up comedy and jazz clubs and whatever, tarot card readings, and like it was just nonstop. And I know you were smart enough to go to bed early, somewhat early, but I felt like it didn't give you a like were you and me in Chicago, or where was that? Chicago, right? Our last marathon in Chicago, Charlie. We didn't do anything on this day before, right? How
Didn't
fresh
do
did you
much. It was
like?
like that day flew by, even though we didn't do anything.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, Phil, but I think that might be a reason why you didn't get your recovery that you thought you'd get.
well, it's a fair point, but that was such an important part of the trip was to
Yeah, it was
do
so
those things
fun.
and be with the guys and have fun. And I still feel like I was responsible. Like I didn't
You
drink.
were.
I went to bed early, you know, well, early-ish. I'd try to get back at the hotel by midnight, get a good sleep. So I I I didn't want to sacrifice that stuff, because it was more than half the reason that we were there. It just so
Yes.
happened that we were also running a marathon on the Monday.
It's kind
Um,
of tough, right? Because in a way, you don't want to go to New York if you're gonna just not do anything the whole weekend and
yeah,
do a race. And yet you're there and you're thinking, I really probably should go to bed now. Like
yeah,
it's midnight and that's enough for today. Like
yeah. And I didn't feel physically tired or anything at any point during the week or the weekend or that morning of. I think the nerves had a big part to do with it too. Like I was definitely, I'd built this up for a long time, and I get there race day morning, and the wind is there, and I'm not sure what's going on, and just couldn't get into a rhythm, right? So I chalk it up as just getting more experience under my belt will help with that
yes.
stuff moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think it's you, Charlie's touched it on the nose. You're obviously very good at this already, and you'll just get way better with your next one and your next one. And then next time you're running at mile 20 and you're like, okay, I can't do this for another hour, you'll ease up a little bit, and you'll be able to adjust your times. And
Uh, and I think one of my takeaways is just like I need to spend more time getting faster and being able to run above that pace so that I don't have the concern of that pace being challenging, right? So I don't know if I'm jumping too far ahead, but that's kind of what I've set up as my goal for the winter and potentially most of next year before trying a sub 3 again is just get
speed work.
myself faster
Yeah.
at the 5K, 10K half so that I know I can stretch, that sub 3 pace out the next time I try.
Yeah.
I have a feeling you'd be pretty fast at a 5K, Phil.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, all in all, didn't crack sub-3 this time, but came away with a first place trophy.
Champion. The champion. They
Yeah.
gave him a big trophy. He's got a big trophy. Put it on the mantle, baby.
Presented by Rob, because he took over Master of Ceremonies.
You were MC, Rob?
Well, I love my man Richard Brodsky there, who organized the event. He's a beauty, but he was also running. So there was. This is not a slight on the race itself. It's great race, great organized, great volunteers. But I think there was maybe a little bit confusion as to who was doing what. So I finished my 10K, and I overheard some people talking, and nobody. So I volunteered to bring direction a little bit to the race, and everyone was coming to me to ask me what was. Eventually, I was the race director at the end. By the end of the race, so yes, I handled the award ceremonies. I gave out the trophies. I organized the volunteers for the food. I was
quickly run a 10K and then be the tournament director.
Well, I've done it enough times, and I could just sense there was panic and stress at the volunteer level. They didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew which trophies to give out. So I looked through all the trophies. I figured it out. Okay, these are masters. These are our senior masters. These are the overalls, the men, women. Okay, so we started giving out the trophies, and people didn't know what trophies. And the food was just kind of laid out. Nobody knew what was happening. So just start. And then some people had wrong chip times, and chip wasn't working. So there was a chip guy that was there. So he was really good. But I handed out. So I handed out Phil's trophy for first place.
I have one last comment on or question / comment on Phil's race before we move to the half marathon, maybe.
Yeah.
So Phil, when you kind of got through and ran the longest time you've ever run at that high heart rate 170, and you got through it, and you were reflecting on that after, was that kind of like were you feeling good about that? Like, I would imagine that would feel pretty good. So was that like a good kind of reminiscent, like I can get through these hard spots? Or
you mean on yesterday, you mean like at his race?
I mean, yeah, after the race, when he was reflecting on how he was able to kind of power through for a long time at that really intense effort and suffer a lot.
Yeah. So my thought going in was that to be successful, I would need my heart rate to start at about 160 and keep it in the 160s until the third hour. Like for the first 2 hours, I'd have to stay just slowly climbing up the 160 mark. And then I could probably figure out a way to get through that third hour in the 170s. When I realized that I would be, mid 170s for this whole thing, I kind of took it as a challenge of like, let's see how long I can hold this. And getting through 2 hours of it, I was maybe not surprised, but I was like proud of myself for pushing myself to do that. Like I could have easily slowed down and tried to manage my heart rate and run it according to effort. But yeah, I was curious to see how long this can go for. And I think I was able to do it, maybe not as long as I would hope, but definitely longer than I was expecting.
And now you can rely on that, and you can have confidence that you have that in your back pocket for future races. So
yeah,
it's great. Okay, so half marathon, Rob, do you want to go through what happened in the half?
Yeah, I didn't do the half. Marty did the half. Marty finished in second place. Shout out to Marty, running club. He had a 7-minute PB. Am I right? 8-minute
142.
141 and change.
That was a 7-minute PB.
Yeah.
In tough conditions.
Of course.
On a half marathon. So
yeah, he had
what happened with him? Like, so it's must be one of his best feeling results.
It's called
and he was injured. No, but like you said he was injured for a while.
I think he was just down. Because he felt he wasn't getting faster. I don't know, but he's fast. Like consistent. He puts the miles in. He's one of those guys that is not. He's not like me and you, Charles. Not like me. I shouldn't say you. He's like you in that he's not loud and he's not telling everyone about his times, and he just goes about, does the miles, and loves it and puts in the hard
Well,
work. And
I'm really, really happy for him. So
I'm so freaking happy for
because he
him.
puts in a lot of work
I'm just
to get that result is great.
like
And you could tell he was buzzing after too. He was in such a good mood. When I finished, he was in such a good mood. I was super happy for him.
he was hanging
You know,
around and we were cheering Phil on and
he was buzzing.
He was buzzing. And I mean, an 8-minute PB on a half is like a 20.
And it wasn't easy. It was tough conditions too, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, he had been like, he was originally signed up for the half. I think his goal was to do 3:45, which now
The full.
Or the full,
sorry. For the full.
Yeah, which I think he could probably do that in good conditions with his eyes closed now.
Yeah.
But he hadn't been running a ton the last month and a half because I think his knee was bugging him and stuff. So I don't know if he surprised himself, but definitely crushed his race.
And he definitely didn't like a race weekend treated like you did.
No, yeah,
like
exactly.
We got home at 3:00 on the first night, like after the stand-up comedy there, and
so I think it was one of those cases, like for him, maybe where he got in some good rest at the right time, and he no stress. He didn't.
Just went out and had fun.
Yeah. So
and he pushed hard for second
working.
place because he passed one or two guys, I think, on the last 5K. The guy who won the half marathon was 13 years old, Charlie. Ran a 1:32 or something. I don't remember.
1:36.
And looked like 1:36K. Looked like a child. Looked like I just went. His parents were there. I'm the one who handed him the trophy in the award
13 years old. Yeah, he was.
And his parents were like, "Yeah, he just started running a month ago." So I told him, "Your son needs a coach, and you need to get him in. Like, is he in high school? No, he's in grade 7 or 8 or whatever. Okay, you need to get him on the track team." And I'm like, "Do you like running?" He's like, "I really like running." So this kid's obviously really good. So Marty had no chance to beat him. That guy was cruising, but solid second, beat a bunch of people in the backstretch to get a second place. So Phil wins first, Marty wins second. I showed up.
How did the 10K go, Rob?
How did the 10K go? Let's go. How did the 10K go? I'm so excited to tell this story that doesn't mean anything to anyone.
On 3 hours of sleep.
On 3 hours of sleep, yeah, because I was like, I'm in New York. I'm just running it easy tomorrow. I'm going out. So we went out that Sunday. Did we go to the Met, Phil? On Sunday?
Yeah, we went to the Met.
Then we went to the musical.
Then we went for dinner.
Then we went to the comedy. I went to the stand-up comedy. Then we went to the tarot reading. Then we went to the piano bar. That was the longest day. It's crazy what you can do in New York, all just downtown. So you left before some of those, but I did. So it was past 3 by the time I was in bed, and I was thinking, this isn't super bright, Rob, but whatever. I don't care. It's fine. I'm just doing a 10K. I purposely didn't bring my cheater shoes because I didn't want to race. I was like, I'm not going to race. I'm not going to bring my cheater shoes. I'll bring my slowest shoes. I brought my Hoka, my mall walkers. It's like that way I can't run. I can't race it. The race started. I was going to run with Marty because he was running 5-minute Ks. I was like, 5-minute Ks, 50-minute 10K. That'll be fun. But it started and I just felt so good. So I just started going a little bit.
The miracle of rest, eh? I guess.
I felt so good. And then, Phil, you were way ahead of me to start, right? Because you did a first but then I was like, maybe I'll run with Phil the first 5K because we were on the same track for the first 5K. So I kind of caught up to you for a little bit, but then I was like, he's still 15 seconds ahead, or 10 seconds ahead or whatever. I was like, nah, you know what, Rob, you don't need to race this. Let Phil run his race. You're just gonna do whatever. So then we do the 5K. I'm doing I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm doing 4:20s or something like that. And we get
55 a mile, so about 4:20s. Yep.
Okay. So then we get to the half, and then all the marathon and the half marathon keep going. And there's only the 5K are done. So there's only the 10Ks that are turning. It's the only people on the course now are my 10Ks. So I'm watching kind of just for fun, and I see just one guy turn. So I'm like, I turned. So I said, Marty, and then I passed Marty. I said, Marty, how many guys that way? He said, there's only one guy ahead of you, Rob. I said, okay. And I could see him because we're on a long straightaway. So I could see him, and there's these poles, long hydro poles or light poles. So I counted, and he was I thought he was about 40 seconds ahead of me. It was like 40 seconds ahead of me.
He was 30 seconds ahead of you.
30, okay.
37 seconds ahead of you at the halfway point.
Right. Okay. So this, I talked to Marty for a bit. So whatever, close to 40, I thought I timed about 40 seconds ahead of 37, let's say. So I was like, 5K, you know, I can do that. 8 seconds per kilometer. Do I want to catch this guy? And I said, I kind of do. I kind of want to catch this guy. They said, Rob, don't be crazy. Well, okay, if you're feeling good, Q had specifically told me. So my physiotherapist was on the trip with us. He said, Rob, if you're feeling good, you can go. As long as you're feeling good in the knee. If you're not feeling good, you have to stop. I said, okay. So we had worked a lot on like building this threshold for this tendon that you want to push them. So first kilometer, I trimmed 7-8 seconds. Second kilometer, I trimmed another 7-8. Now we're getting to the turn. You know, the turn at 7.5 kilometers. So then we're going back to the finish line.
Yeah.
So at the turn, I'm like, he's going to see me because he kept looking back and there was no one behind him, right? This guy thinks he's winning this race. So I did a move. And if you're listening to this podcast, I think he told me he would listen. I got to give him a shout out. Oh, Andres. And sorry I did this, Andres, but I'm intensely competitive, I guess. I
Did you want to win, Rob? Did you want to win the race? I wanted
to win. So he turned the corner, and right as he turned, I put my head down and I walked a few steps, and I just like was wiping my brow, and I was like pretending I was dead and pretending I wanted to think I was a 5K runner. Because the 5Ks would have been really slow, but I want to think I was a 5K runner.
Yeah, there were some 5K walkers.
How do you even come up with this in your head? I wanted to be a 5K runner for real.
Yeah.
Oh,
so then
you sound like my kid Mikael.
I guess I'm competitive. So he continued, and then as soon as he passed me, I turned the afterburners on and I went, and then I chipped away. Kilometer 7 chipped away, kilometer 8 chipped away, kilometer 9 I could see him. I caught him at 9.2 kilometers. I caught him. And now he was doing a negative. So he was going way faster.
Yeah, he did. He also did a negative. Yeah,
he did. And he's pushing the pace. And I'm pushing the pace. 405, 410, 405, 4-minute kilometers. I don't know. My watch said 355. And then when I hit him at 9.2, I said well, I have to bury this guy right now because I don't want him to think he has a chance. I need him to give up. So I said, I'm just going to sprint right now. I'm just going to turn it on right now, leave him in the dust. I'm going to have him give up. Once you know your beat, it's tough, right? Have you ever felt that you know your beat? You kind of just give up, right? So I wanted him to give up. So
it reminds me of the twosome or whatever. The one where, anyways, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, there was a guy that was like, he just passed me with like 1 kilometer left. And he was only like 2 or 3 steps ahead of me. And I just kept trying to hold on.
And eventually it's not worth it. It's too hard. And you're like,
it was just too hard. And then he beat me by like 3 seconds or 4 seconds.
Yeah. But in reality, you weren't that far behind him. So I'm like, I'm going to bury him right now with 800 meters because I don't have a lot of energy left. I was like 178 on the heart rate. I was working the hardest I've worked in a long time.
So your second half, I'll spoil it. 2013 5K on your second half.
Okay. But I mean, yeah.
And you said you walked parts, and so it's pretty fast.
And no cheater shoes. And I would say tough conditions. So I'm 9.2 and I'm like, I'm going to bury him right now. So I go, and then he's following me step by step. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He's on my heels now, and I'm picking up the pace. I'm turning into my sprint. And then with like 500 meters, he gave up. I won the race. He gave up right on.
You beat him by 3.5 seconds.
Hold on. Yeah. The story's not over. The story I'm building up. I'm building the story. So 500 meters, he kind of gives up. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God he gave up because I don't think I could have finished it. So I'm like going and look back. I'm looking back every 5 seconds. And all of a sudden he's falling behind 10 meters, 15 meters, 20 meters behind. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. So I'm coasting in now. I'm looking back every once in a while. And I'm approaching the finish line. I'm, let's say, 80 meters from the finish line, 70 meters. Like I can see the cones are already out. And all of a sudden I hear, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I look back and he's in a sprint. He's trying to pull the old Rob Tatro on me. And he's coming up on me.
Trying to pull your move on you.
He tried to pull my move on me. I invented that move. That's my move. So I had now rested a little bit, right? Because I had taken it easy. Yeah. So 70 meters, all out sprint. And he was sprinting, we were sprinting, and I just beat him at the finish line by whatever it was, 3 seconds or whatever.
A little bit better than when you went against Windbreaker.
Yeah, Windbreaker. Shout out to you, Windbreaker, if you still listen to the podcast. I tried to, yeah, same thing happened to Windbreaker, except this time I was Windbreaker.
Yeah,
And that guy was me because I tried to pass Windbreaker and he just poured it on and passed me.
yeah.
And this guy was a beauty. This Andres guy, he's a military guy. He ended up coming to talk to me after. He's like, I don't know how you did that. Like, I was doing a negative. I was focused. Like, you were. I said, well, it was fun. You pushed me. And he was so thankful. And then we ended up following me on Strava and whatever. I don't know if he's listening to this, but nice work, Andreas. You did a negative. That's a great day. So that was a super, super, super fun day for me. And then I was like excited to watch Marty race and to watch Phil race. So I ran my 10K and then I started organizing the race for everyone. And then I gave Marty his trophy and then I gave Phil his trophy. And it was just a phenomenal day. How fun is running? Like I texted that to you, Charlie. I love running. I was like, not every day you get to race like an actual race. Like it was fun. So yeah, I did a 41. What did I do? 41:40 or something? 41:50? I don't even know.
41:43.
41:43.
So you haven't trained in a month, and you're still faster with your terrible shoes.
Yeah, but how are you? How are you training right now, Charlie?
Oh, I was feeling great. I mean, I'm feeling great, but yeah.
Until my story, you were feeling great.
Well, no. I'm not where you are at. That's for sure. So yeah.
Yeah, but I did a huge build just now, right? So it's still there. It just needs to resurface. But
I'm about in 308 shape, 310 shape.
You and Phil would be you think you'd run a 308 right now? But I think
pretty close. Yeah,
I think you're better.
Things
than
would
that,
go well.
Didn't you have a phenomenal long run on the weekend?
Yeah, you had a huge long run on Sunday or Saturday.
No, so that was a failure.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, what happened was there was snow here all of a sudden, and I was like, oh, I think I can do it. So I wore shoes that were very slippy in the snow, and when I tried to get up to my marathon pace, it was just slipping too much. So I like pulled the chute on it.
It's tough to do fast.
But 2 weeks ago, I did well, and
it's dangerous.
No, things are going really well actually.
Yeah.
But
next weekend, are you going to do a treadmill?
No, I don't do treadmill, but I'll go on the track. I'll go on an indoor track.
You'll do 3 hours on an indoor track?
I'd rather, I would rather do that than do a treadmill for some reason.
Wow.
I can't run on it. I cannot even, I mean, unless it's like really, really easy pace, I can't do treadmill because it's like, all I can think about is how hard it is.
Okay. Everyone's different.
I mean, maybe, but maybe I could, but I've failed my last 29 workouts on treadmills, so I'm not going to try. I don't want to fail again.
Okay. Phil, I'm going to ask you a little bit about what's next, but first, just a quick recap on New York for those that care and those that give a shit. We jammed the most possible activity you could in a New York weekend. We did the what do you call it? The bar hop tour on the first night with the Comedy Cellar on the first night. Comedy Cellar, which is the mecca of comedy in New York. It wasn't that great, honestly, but we did it. Then we did 2 musicals. On Saturday, we saw Moulin Rouge in what some would call it was in the orchestra. We were like on stage. The seats were unbelievable.
We were part of the play.
We were part of the play. And Moulin Rouge is like a cabaret / all the big boppers, big musical numbers. It was unbelievable. If you think you don't like musicals, I don't know how someone could not enjoy themselves at Moulin Rouge. Then we saw and Juliet, which is more kind of thoughtful, thought-provoking, big musical numbers, but it's what would happen if William Shakespeare didn't write the plays. It was like his wife, and then she was like changing the ending, and it was like a comedy, but really deep story, good story, and awesome. It was like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Celine Dion, and it was like huge voice, just awesome. And then where did we go that night? Went to the piano bar. Went to the piano bar.
We went for dinner, and then we went to the piano bar. And then it was awesome. And then Sunday, like I said, you and I went to the Met. By the way, the Met, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, like we saw, I don't know, 30% of the stuff, 40% of the stuff. We were there for 3 hours.
3.5 hours. And like we read 3% of the play
Yeah.
cards or the boards. Like you would almost have to be a member there, and you go every 2 weeks and you spend 2 hours, you do one section. I think is the only way you could do that in museum.
Yeah.
A lot of Greek statues with missing appendages.
Oh,
And
yeah.
sarcophaguses and like Monets and Manets and Van Goghs and whatever. It was really cool. I mean, I'm not an art guy, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Then we saw another musical. It was two strangers bringing a cake across New York or something like that. Two strangers carry a cake. That
Two-man
one,
show.
I need to ask you, which one was your favorite of the three film?
So Moulin Rouge was my favorite for the
Experience.
production. Like the production and the experience was insane, but that Two Strangers was knockout hilarious.
Yeah, it was
Like,
touching too, the storyline.
Yeah,
And it was a musical.
Yeah, and original score, right? So like the two that we saw on Saturday were more jukeboxy with like popular songs woven in throughout, whereas the Two Strangers was an original score, and they were great songs, great music, hilarious play. It was, and just two people for the
Two
whole
people, no
show.
one else. I'd never seen that.
One stage, rotating stage, two people, the whole play. It was spectacular.
Yeah. Shout out to
Yeah.
Q for picking that
Yeah.
picking that play.
Yeah, Trip
And
MVP.
we were so enamored with musicals. Like Sunday night, we're like, well, let's go to another musical. And then we found out that they don't do musicals on Sunday night, I guess. So we were out of musicals. So instead, we went to we did the tarot reading, which was
The tarot reading.
oh my god, it was so terrible.
That was
Did it predict your 10K
101.
win? Did it predict your 10K win?
No, it was the biggest joke I've ever seen in my life. She was just like reading a script, and she was just reading a script. I see that you also have leadership qualities, and you enjoy people, and you're kind to people. But however, some of your friends will speak to you behind your back. You must be careful about your friends. Also, did you ever have anyone die in the last 10 years? Yeah, my grandma died. Okay. So, have you also? I was like, but you didn't even say anything about my like. It was like if an SNL skit did a terror. It was so terrible. Anyways, whatever. It was part of the laugh. We got a big laugh out of it. And then the piano bar. Oh my god, we walked in there, 7 guys, and like it's a little on the artsy side because it's Broadway show tunes that they're playing, and it's the people from Broadway that are playing. So we walked in there 6 guys, and I think some of the guys were hitting on some of our guys, and it was entertaining for sure. We had so much fun at the piano bar. It was just all around great week. And then we got the race, like the funnest Monday ever. We got the race, we got to sleep in, and then the travel back was, I have to tell one quick story. 6 guys in Toronto on the way down, in Montreal on the way down. We had a tight connection. Flight got delayed. I'm the only one that got through Nexus, and I ran all the way to the gate, and I made the flight by 30 seconds. Gate was closing. I made it by 30
because you ran
seconds.
at 6:15 pace.
I ran a 6:50. It was more like 6:20 pace, and I made it there. And then I said, I got 6 buddies out there. Like you have to hold this plane. Like we can't hold the plane, sir. I was arguing. Finally said, we'll do 5 minutes. We'll give you 5 extra minutes. So I'm talking to Marcoux and Marty and everyone. Hey, where are you guys? We're coming. Just hold the plane. Finally, she goes, you have 30 seconds and we're closing the plane. Are you going or are you not coming? I said, I'm going on the plane. So I was going to go on the plane solo, and I hadn't quite given up yet. So then I'm walking on the plane and I get the text from Marcoux. We're at the gate and the lady's not letting us on. And I'm not even on the plane yet. I haven't even stepped on the plane, and they've already closed the gate. It's like, sir, we have to close the gate at some point. We can't just let it go forever. There has to be a black and white moment, and that moment was that time. So they're not on the plane. So I start arguing, and anyways, they issued new boarding passes. So they all got new boarding passes. They got bumped to a later flight, and they're not going on this plane. Argue. Anyways, 30 minutes of arguing. They stayed there. The captain involved, the manager. They stopped the plane. They opened the door and they let them on the plane, and everyone else waited. It was crazy. I can't believe that worked, because they would have had to put all these people on a different plane. So it started the weekend off with a bang and finished with a bang. This was just an epic trip, Phil. I'm so glad you were there. What was your highlight real quick? And then I want to ask you about, I know we're already over on time, but then I want to ask you about your next plans real quick. What was your highlight? Well, probably the race, obviously the race. What was your non-race highlight?
So Moulin Rouge and the Met, I think, were my top 2 highlights. The race was awesome. I felt like Marty after the his first marathon in LA, where just for an hour and a half after the race, my brain didn't work. Like, it's thank God I was with
Yeah.
you guys, because I would have had no idea how to get to the airport and like figure anything out. I was just drained. Um, but yeah, it was an awesome weekend.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that weekend.
Mental, this city. It's fun. And I was reminded, Charlie, every time I was there, I kept telling the boys, I ran here when I ran the marathon. Did I tell you guys I ran the marathon here? Yes, Rob, we know you
Yeah,
ran
yeah,
the
yeah.
marathon here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. I'm excited to go back to New York to run the marathon. Maybe with Phil at some point. I don't know. Phil, what's your next A race? What do you want to do? What's next?
I have nothing on the calendar right now, so I'm gonna have to figure it out over the next few weeks. But I, not to make a long story longer, I think the most fun I had this year was an impromptu 5K that I ran. I just loved the short race, and really pushing yourself for a short amount of time. And I think it fits in nicely into what I need to do long term, which is get faster. So I want to work on my speed throughout the winter, and then kind of figure it out from there.
Right on. Charlie, anything else you want to add?
No,
You
congrats,
got
Phil.
less than 3 weeks till your race, Charlie. You must be getting excited. I'm excited for you. That's coming up. We will be rehashing that over the next few episodes. I'm Rob. This is my brother Charlie and Phil. Thank you guys for tuning in. Send this to someone you know that's interested in New York, wants to hear about Phil's journey, or just share, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a 5-star review. It helps us out a lot. Thank you guys. And remember, in your training, more miles, less pace. Let's go.